They're a little bit earlier, although we're past the peak of the run right now. Should be fun though. I got a brand new rod just for this. This is an ugly stick, 14 to 50 pound line, and I got this just because the lures you're throwing are real heavy. We'll talk about that on the way down. So I'm just leaving the parking lot and heading down to the beach, and these fish are still in the salt water. They're heading to the rivers. The trail here isn't the best trail in the world. So let me tell you a little bit about what we're going to do here. So in the hierarchy of fishermen, there's the fly fishermen that fish little tiny barbless nymphs. Almost every fish they catch, they're going to release so that somebody else can catch it tomorrow or next year. And below those guys then, you have the streamer fly fishermen. They fish streamers, usually barbed, and they might keep one for dinner and release the rest so that maybe next year they can catch them. And then you have your spin fishermen, and they're fishing baitless because to fish bait is beneath them. And they're going to catch some. They're going to take a couple home and release some because, you know, we want to save those for tomorrow. And then there's the bait fishermen. They use bait and they'll release a few, but they're going to keep most of what they get for themselves. They're going to eat them for dinner tonight. After the bait fishermen, you have the flossers. In Alaska, we do a lot of flossing for sockeye. And flossers, we're not using bait, and we're really kind of snagging fish in the mouth. We call it fly fishing though. And realistically, we're going to release a few maybe, but most of those are going to go in our freezer for later on. And then after the flossers, you have the dip netters. And dip netters, they got like a 6-foot net. They stick it in the river and just wait for fish to swim into it. They're keeping all those fish. Nothing's getting put back. And I'll hopefully do some dip netting later on this year. Below, on the hierarchy of fishermen, below the dip netters, you have the dynamite fishermen. It's a classification of fishermen that really are underrated and not a lot of people have even heard of them. What they do is they go out to a pond, they throw a chunk of dynamite in there, blow it up, and the fish that float to the surface, they dip out, and they're going to take all those home. It's usually best done real late at night. I can honestly say I've never partaken, but I've heard of it happening. Maybe it's just lore. And then below the dynamite fishermen are the snaggers. We're going to be full on snagging today. It's really kind of, it's not sporting. It's really about putting some fish in your freezer. And so we're going to go out here today and see if we can put a few fish in the freezer. See what that looks like. I'll show you the tackle we're going to use when we get down there. And for now, we'll just take a quick peek and see where we're heading. So you can see that's the ocean or the bay, Resurrection Bay. And we're heading there. You can see there's a line of people out there. So we're just going to go out there and see if we can squeak in somewhere and catch some fish. All right, that's the hook I'm going to use. Crowded out there. Probably about every 10 feet for 100 yards each way, as far out as you can go and about as far up as you can do it. There's fishermen, so I think I might just call it a night here. Well, it's been a pretty busy day. We hit the Russian this morning early, and then went down to Seward and tried fishing at Seward, although unsuccessfully. I probably won't go back down there this year, But next year I'm going to make a point, I think, to try to get down there early enough to take advantage of that run. Probably just to say I did. It's not like something I'm dying to do, but I feel like I need to do it and be successful at it at least once. So whatever. So I'm getting ready to turn in, try hitting the Russian again in the morning if all goes well. We'll kind of see how the weather goes and whatnot. But I think that's going to be our plan. Should be fun.
Well, it's 2:30 in the morning. Still dark outside. We're about 2 days after the solstice right now, so it does look pretty dark out there. But it won't be real dark for super long. Yesterday was really a pretty good day on the river. And I suspect today there should be a fair amount of fish still coming through. And so my plan this morning is to have a little bit of breakfast, and then I still have about another 10 miles to go to get to where I want to be at the river. And so I'm just gonna eat breakfast, chuck up on a couple things, and get going. So I have a buddy of mine who camps out of his truck like this, and he calls it dirt bagging. I don't know if that's a term he made up or if it's a term from somewhere else, but I think one of the things about if you're going to be a good dirt bagger is to keep it super simple. I have yogurt for breakfast. I have some hard-boiled eggs that I made at home, and that way I can have actually a healthy breakfast, an easy breakfast, without having to do hardly anything at all. I did make the mistake, the back of the pickup truck's not too big here, right? I did make the mistake of bringing a little barbecue and some briquettes and all that. And I say make the mistake in the sense that it really makes it so things aren't as simple. They take up space. And so part of it's just about keeping your space tidy and just making things really simple. So I probably will not bring the barbecue again. I kind of thought, well, nothing like fresh salmon the day you get it. There's nothing like eating fresh salmon right out of the river. I think that's when it's very best, and so that was kind of what my intent was. But then you got to unpack the barbecue, get it going, and wait till it cools down to put it away, and then you got ash and briquettes and all that stuff, and it's really it's a pain in the fanny. It's just not in the spirit of good dirt bagging. And so I won't make that mistake again. I think freeze-dried meals and yogurt and things like that is that's the easiest, and I think dirt bagging should be kept super easy. And so I won't make that mistake again. I'm going to get on with breakfast here, get some coffee, and get down to the river. Little cup of perfection right there. I think the best cup of coffee in the morning is always the first cup of coffee in the morning. So I did a little dirt bagging last summer, which was really my introduction into trying to be a dirt bagger and be organized. And it made life really easy. Just have a few things, and that way you can just go. You hear, oh, there's fish over here, there's something over there. You can just jump in and go. And so part of it is just kind of getting your game down and being organized and ready to do. And then also kind of making the mental commitment to, like when I sleep here, I have 2 feet of space. It's kind of like when you were a child and you slept in bunk beds or something. And it's just getting your head in the game in terms of this is everything that I'm going to have and be able to do right now.
just broke. There's a screw that holds it in here. It goes into here, and that screw has sheared off. Generally speaking, I always carry an extra rod and reel in my truck, but I did not bring one on this trip. I would say this is the trip of unpreparedness. First trip of the year, and I have been pretty unprepared. I didn't have enough tackle, I didn't have my good reel, I didn't have my fishing equipment. Realistically, I just grabbed some stuff that was handy and took it. And so now I pay the price for being unprepared. I drove all the way home, I'm done for the day. That's a bummer. I got 2 fish that I'll go ahead and fillet up. But this just burns me up. This is not a very good reel anyway. I just couldn't find my good stuff and didn't want to waste time on it because I knew there were fish in and I had time. I call that haste makes waste. So I basically got a rod with a half a reel on it. Nice. That's 2 sockeye salmon right there.